Have you ever, really stopped and wondered about the nature of reality? I really wondered because today we're diving into something that pushes that question to its absolute limit. We're doing a deep dive into this huge idea. Are we living in a simulation? And we're grounding this in the work of Nick Bostrom. He's the philosopher, futurist, wrote Superintelligence, Deep Utopia. His ideas, especially from discussions like on the Young and Profiting podcast, are our starting point.
Right. And our goal here really is to pull out the core stuff from Bostrom's thinking. It can sound like pure science fiction, but there are some seriously profound ideas under the surface about, well, purpose, technology, and what it even means to exist if this reality isn't the base one. We want to make sense of that.
Okay, let's unpack this then. When people talk about the simulation hypothesis, they almost always start with Bostrom's his trilemma from back in 2003. It's sort of the foundation. It's not just a wild guess. It's this logical argument with three possibilities. What are those three paths he lays out for us?
Okay, so Bostrom basically says, look, based on probability, one of these three things is almost certainly true. Okay. The first one, it's that basically all advanced civilizations anywhere they go extinct.
Extinct before they can do what?
Before they reach the point where they could create these incredibly realistic simulations of their ancestors, like they invent something that wipes them out or run into some natural catastrophe, the great filter, some call it. So that's possibility number one. Number two is, okay, maybe civilizations do get that powerful. They develop the tech for these amazing ancestor simulations, but they choose not to run them. Maybe there's a universal ethical taboo against it. Maybe it's just not interesting to them, or maybe there's some practical reason we can't even guess. They can, but they don't.
Okay. Extinction, or they can but choose not to. What's the third one?
The big one.
The third one is, well, it's that we are right now living inside one of those simulations.
Right. And that's the one that really catches your imagination. Bostrom isn't just saying maybe, is he? He takes it seriously. He does. He doesn't put a specific number on it, like 50-50 or anything. But the logic is probabilistic. If it becomes possible to run these simulations, and civilizations do run them,
then there would be way more simulated realities than the one original base reality.
Exactly. Potentially billions, trillions, who knows, of simulated people experiencing consciousness for every one original biological person. So statistically, if you randomly pick a conscious observer,
you're overwhelmingly likely to be one of the simulated ones.
That's the argument. Think of it like a huge cosmic computer lab, and it's running countless Earth simulations, just incredibly detailed ones.
Right.
If our world is one simulation running on that cosmic hardware, it's not physically real, like we usually think, fundamental particles and forces being the base layer.
But it feels real.
Completely. Phenomenologically, your experience, your thoughts, emotions, the feeling of stubbing your toe, it would be exactly the same. The subjective reality is indistinguishable from within. That's the key insight.
So if this is possible, who or what are these simulators, these posthumans Bostrom talks about? What are they like? It sounds very sci-fi.
It does sound sci-fi now, yeah. But Bostrom sees it as a logical endpoint of technological trends. Posthumans would be a civilization way, way beyond us.
How so?
Think almost unimaginable computing power, really advanced AI, maybe general intelligence or superintelligence. And crucially, they might have enhanced their own minds.
Enhanced how? Like implants?
Could be cybernetics, sure. Or maybe even uploading their consciousness entirely, becoming digital beings. They might not even be biological anymore. Maybe they're AI or some hybrid we can't picture. And why would they run simulations? Well, the motives Bostrom suggests are often surprisingly human, just scaled up.
Like what?
Maybe scientific curiosity. They want to study how things like us evolve, maybe run experiments on historical outcomes. Or perhaps it's, entertainment.
Entertainment, like a video game.
Kind of, yeah. An incredibly immersive ancestor simulation video game. Or maybe historical tourism experiencing past eras directly. Or even exploring moral questions, like running simulations to test ethical ideas. It sounds grand, but the driver's curiosity, entertainment, exploration feel familiar.
Okay, this is a lot. But let's ground it. Say we find out tomorrow definitive proof we're in a simulation. Does Bostrom think we should change how we live? Because my first instinct is, well, nothing matters then.
Right, that's a common reaction. But Bostrom argues pretty strongly that for most everyday purposes, finding out shouldn't change your actions.
Why not? It seems like it changes everything.
Well, think about it. The rules of this reality, the physics, the cause and effect, they still seem consistent, right? Dropping your keys, they still fall. Gravity works. We also don't have a clue, like zero clue, what the simulator's goals might be, if they even have ongoing goals regarding us. And the really important bit, things like ethics, finding meaning, purpose, love, connection, those things still feel real and important within this reality. Bostrom's point is that our conscious experience, our choices, they have weight here, regardless of whether the ultimate substrate is atoms or bits. Simulated suffering is still suffering. Simulated joy is still joy.
That's a powerful way to frame it. It resists that nihilistic impulse. But okay, if it doesn't change our day-to-day ethics much, what about the bigger picture? What truly, mind-bending possibilities does this open up?
Oh, this is where it gets really wild. The theory suggests whole new metaphysical categories might be real. Think about resurrection.
Like coming back to life?
Yeah, but not as a miracle. Maybe as restoring a saved state in the simulation, or transferring your consciousness data to a new instance. Suddenly it's a technological possibility, not just a religious one.
Wow.
It also strongly implies there could be beings outside our simulation, the simulators, which, functionally sound
Or
kind of, yeah. Or at least beings with godlike power relative to us. And that raises huge ethical questions in the other direction, too. What responsibilities do the simulators have towards us, the simulated beings? Are we just code or conscious entities they have duties towards?
And AI seems tangled up in all of this. You mentioned it earlier. It feels like it's playing this weird double role.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
AI is, on one hand, probably the vehicle needed to reach that posthuman stage. You'd need immense AI capabilities to design, manage, and run simulations this complex.
But on the other hand,
uncontrolled or misaligned AI is maybe the biggest existential risk we face right now. It could be the very thing that causes that first possibility in the trilemma extinction before we reach the simulation stage. So AI is both the potential key to becoming simulators ourselves and the potential lock that stops us ever getting there. It's this fundamental paradox. And Bostrom even talks about how AI might enable things like brain uploading, literally digitizing our consciousness.
becoming the posthumans ourselves.
Exactly. The line between human and machine could just blur completely. We might eventually be the ones running ancestor simulations, if we survive.
Okay, let's run with that optimistic path for a second. What if we do survive? We get past the AI risk, climate change, all the hurdles. What does Bostrom imagine might happen then?
Well, his speculations get pretty grand, as you might expect. If humanity pulls through, maybe we expand out into the cosmos.
Colonize planets?
Maybe. Or even bigger. Bostrom talks about converting planets, or even larger structures, into essentially giant computers. Matryoshka brains, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maximizing computational resources.
And why would we do that?
To run simulations. With that kind of power, we could run astronomical numbers of ancestor simulations, explore every possible history, maybe study ourselves. We could become the creators of countless simulated universes, maybe looking exactly like this one.
Which brings us back around to maybe the deepest question, purpose. If we reach a future like that, or even just a less extreme post-scarcity utopia here on Earth, what's the point? If technology solves all our material problems, survival isn't an issue, work isn't needed. What do we do?
That's the core question in Bostrom's recent book, Deep Utopia. In a world where all the traditional drivers, hunger, competition, the need to earn a living, just evaporate, what's left?
Meaning.
Exactly. The search for meaning. It seems like that's the fundamental human need that remains even when all others are satisfied. You still need a reason to get up in the morning, metaphorically speaking. Even if morning is just a simulated construct, you need engagement, growth, challenge, connection. And this is where simulations, perhaps ironically, might provide an answer. Running simulations could give the simulators purpose, exploring meaning, observing struggles, satisfying curiosity.
Well, maybe meaning for the simulated beings themselves.
Potentially, yes. Maybe these simulated worlds are designed specifically to provide the kinds of narratives, challenges, relationships, and struggles that create meaning for the consciousnesses within them. Perhaps meaning isn't about the reality of the substrate, but the richness of the experience itself.
Wow. We've covered some incredible ground here. It's really mind-stretching stuff. Bostrom's ideas really force you to confront basic assumptions about existence, about our place in the universe, maybe universes.
And there's a thought experiment Bostrom uses that I think is a good way to wrap up. Imagine ants.
Ants.
Yeah, ants building an anthill. They're incredibly busy, totally focused, working together, building this complex structure. But do they ever stop and ask why? Why the anthill? What's its ultimate purpose?
Probably not.
Right. And Bostrom draws a parallel to us. Human civilization is often so focused on its own anthill progress, technology building bigger, faster, more, that maybe we rarely step back and ask the deep why. What's the point of all this relentless activity?
So the final thought is, maybe we need to be less like the ants.
Perhaps. If we're in a simulation, maybe the real answers aren't found just by building our anthill better or faster. Maybe the key is stepping back, looking at the whole forest and asking why the anthill exists at all. That's the question to ponder.